All right, good evening, everybody. Here we go. We're going to do some more SpriteKit work this week on this one. We're going to pick up where we left off last time, and I think I thought of a way to sort of solve my problem here and improve my code a little bit. So let me show you what the problem was that we had at the end of the last stream. Let me go ahead and run the app here. So you can see that everything's working fine, right? We've got the missile flies up the screen. But when I move the player, the missile stays at the same location. That was a problem, right? And after I went away and I thought about it for a few days, I think what the problem here is not only do I start with the rocket on the screen and it's animated here, but I think that the problem is that I'm also doing it, let me find it here, where I'm actually using this repeat forever in a sequence. I don't think we need a sequence here. That's what I think the problem is. So I got a new plan on this one. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and rework this so that, first of all, the rocket will be added to the screen when the game starts, just like it is now, but in a different way. We're going to call a function, and that function is going to add it to the screen. And then it'll perform its actions to make it move on the screen. Once it moves off the screen, we'll then repeat the process instead of using this sequence. Because the problem is that I've discovered, and as we found out last time, with the sequence, it's not capturing the position of the player. It only captures it one time at the beginning of the sequence, and then because that sequence goes forever, it's just staying there. Even though the player moves, it never recaptures the new position of the player, and that's the problem. So that's what we're going to do here, and gotta sort of think this through and do a little bit of rework here. But I got a feeling that this is going to be the better way to go, and it'll open up some better options as we continue working and having this fun with SpriteKit here. So that's what we're going to do. Feel free to jump in anytime with questions or anything like that. Always happy to answer questions. Love hearing from you all in the chat room as well, so I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So first thing, as I'm looking at this, I think what I'm going to need is, because I'm going to need to reference the scene outside of this function, right? So having this here is not going to help me at all. That's number one. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that out of here, and I'm going to put it up here and put it in the scope up there. That's going to be number one. So now I can reference that scene everywhere. It shouldn't actually break anything. Let's find, make sure it still runs. Yep, nothing breaks. Okay, great. Okay. So that's number one. So now that we've got our reference to the scene outside of the scope of just the view did load, I think we now need to start thinking about our rocket here. And I think that part of the thing here is we don't need to be doing this, right? I don't need to be having the rocket size and position here, and I'm not going to directly add the rocket either. And for that matter, I'm not going to animate the rocket here either. So now when I do this, because none of that happens, we're not going to see the rocket. There you go, boom, right? Oh, no boom because no rocket. So now with that said, let's talk about what we're going to do here. Let's clean this up a little bit, right? So before I go any further, I got made myself some notes to try something out here. Okay, so first of all, let's put a little mark in here to say that this is all the rocket commands, right? So that when you look here, you can see rocket, and I know that everything's below here. I got a feeling I'm also going to, at some point, obviously do something with the player as well, right? So I'm also going to add one for the player. I'm just going to put it here, just to keep the code nice and clean. And I hope the font's big enough for everybody. I made the font a little bigger here. All right, that's that. Okay, next up, let's go back to our rocket. So we've got to rebuild how we're going to put our rocket on the screen. And I think what I'm going to do is create a new function here. I'm going to say add rocket, since this is going to add the rocket to the screen. It doesn't need to really take anything here. And I think what we do now is we're actually going to go in and set our rocket that we've got up here. So now we're going to set the rocket size. All right. And I got a note here for my size because I knew I wouldn't remember it. CG size, and the width was 0.175 divided by 7 because we don't want it too big, and the height 0.27 divided by 7. There we go, like so. And then we want to set the rocket position now. So the position of the initial rocket, right? So we want it just above the player where the player is on the screen. This is going to be the new part that I think is going to work for us. So let's have a look. Okay, rocket.position is going to be a CG point. And the X is going to be, going to need to get the player position. So I got to do that here. So I got to write that function. Let's call it get player position. All right, it's going to fail because I haven't written that yet. And then I've got a Y of 0.06, which I do recall is the space right above the player. Okay. Now let's, because it's going to complain and say, hey, this function doesn't exist. So I'm going to have to write that in a second. But after we've done all that, we're now going to tell the scene to add a child, which is going to be the rocket, right? Remember, we had that up here in our scene did load, view did load, and I don't think I need to have that there. All right, so that's that. We'll do the movement and everything else once we got this sorted out, but let's fix the error down here. I'm going to create a new function, get player position. And this is going to return a float. Return player position. And then let's let player position equal. Actually, you know what? No. Wait. We can just return player dot position dot X because that's the only one I need. Might just return it just like that. So that will now set the X here. Cannot convert return expression of type CG float to type float. Okay, fine. I get a CG float. Does it build? All right, let's try this. We should see the rocket right above the player. Nope. What didn't I do? Oh, you know, I haven't called it yet. Okay, so up here, as it's loaded the scene, now execute this. Okay, great. So it's at the top there, not moving or anything at the moment. Fine. At least we've got our new system in place for this. Okay. Now with that, let's do the movement again. So I think we can still do that in the add rocket. We want it to move forever. That's fine. So what I think we can do is we'll say rocket, and it's going to run an action. I think actually it's going to run 2 actions. It's going to actually, no, hold on. Got this backwards. The first thing we're going to want it to do, we're going to want it to perform an action, and then at the end of the action, we're going to want it to do something else, right? Because that, again, this was the original problem. It was running forever. It never actually stopped and completed. We actually need it to stop and complete when it moves off the top of the screen and then do something else. That's the part we're refactoring here. So we're going to run, let me think, it's going to be, we're going to move position. Yeah, rocket of rocket, because I've got my move position right here, right? We're gonna have to refactor this here in a second, I think. But let's go with this. Okay, rocket. And then we want a completion. Okay, let's do that on the right line. So it's going to do that. It's going to run that. And then we want a completion. Am I getting my... Yeah, I am. There you go. Okay. Put the code in. So when it completes, we know it's going to be removed from the screen, or it's going to be off the screen. So we actually want to remove it completely from the scene. Make sure, get that clean up, reset the position, and then add it again, right? So, and when because we're adding it again, we'll get the new position of the player, right? Which is what we didn't have before. Okay, so I gotta think, do I have... Okay, so I gotta write one here. So I'm gonna say function remove rocket from parent. I think it needs to return. Actually, no, wait. I think I read that we do this. I think it's actually a built-in. So rocket.remove. Yeah, from parent. Okay, it's built in. There you go. So I don't even need to write anything on that. And then now that we've removed it, we need to... That's probably going to be a self. Self.add. We're going to add the new one, right? So we're not stuck in an infinite loop here. It may look like it's an infinite loop forever, but it's actually not. Because we're going to remove it and then we're going to add it again, which will run this again. Okay, let's see what we got so far. All right, now, yeah, look, there you go. See, because it's no longer running forever, it fixes it. So now it's lining up wherever I am here. Awesome, fabulous. So that's now going to move with that. Perfect. Okay. Let me see. Is there any other? Oh, yeah. I'm really not sure about this. I'm going to have to rework this at some point as well, I think. I feel like there's going to be multiple things happening eventually on this, right? Probably some animation. You know, the ship's going to ship or the gun or whatever. It's going to tilt as it moves. So I don't really want to have all this messy stuff in line here. So I'm gonna refactor this as well. So I think func move player left. So it's gonna... This will be an action that'll get returned. So actually, so we need to... So it's going to be player. It's going to be an SK node. It's going to return an SK action, like so. So we're going to follow a similar pattern to what we've done on these other ones. Let new action or SK action. Sorry, new action type. I like to put in my types still, just so I can see in my brain what's going on here and it makes sense. Okay, SK action. This one's going to be a move to. Let's do the X, which is going to be, for the X, we're going to want to get the player position and 0, the duration. Now, so we want to get the current location, and let's just offset that moving left. We want to go backwards, so we'll do minus 0.1. We'll see what that gets us. And then return new action. Unsurprisingly, if I take this, well, let's fix that. Okay, I'm going to take this now, and we're going to have another one for moving to the right. but instead of minus, we're just going to do a plus. All right. And then let's refactor this out now. Okay, so we can get rid of all of this. Just do this in here. So we'll say player dot player is going to run an action, and the action will be move player to the left, and the player we're going to send it because I may use this for other things too, so we're going to put that in there. And then this one to the right. So we've stripped out a few lines of code. Okay, make sure everything does, and we don't need that, so even less code. Okay, let's see what it does for us. Should be exactly the same, and it is. Okay, great. So this is all still working. Refactored it, fixed the problem. That was actually a lot easier. See, sometimes you just got to walk away and think about these things. All right, so that's that part. Let's save this before we go any further. This up a little. And actually, I don't even need this extension anymore. That's not even going to be a thing, right? Let's make sure. Yeah, because it's all handled like we expected it. Okay, great. Let's make ourselves, look at these amazing graphics, aren't they? Don't worry, this is going to look way the hell better by the time we finish. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a little attacking something. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. Let's just draw this out. So let's put some little, I don't know, little whatevers on it. Yeah, that's like the most fanciest spacecraft ever, right? I can tell you're impressed. Oh, let's get really fancy and put triangle. Let's create, insert, shape, triangle. Okay, where's my rotate? Really, where is it? Transform. Oh. Let's group those and export them as a PNG. Just call it attacker. There we go. And export. Oh, hang on, I got a weird glitch. Okay. All right. Assets. Oh, actually, images. File. Add files. On my desktop. Actually, 3 of them, but I only really need the one. 40 by 56. Yep, copy it. There it is. Okay. In the assets, we'll create a new asset here. I should have just done it in a new image set. These are only temporary. I'm going to use the same one for all 3 of those. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to put those in there. And we will call this attacker. All right, so the idea here is that this attacker is going to be at the top of the screen. It'll get generated at a random position across the screen and then come down towards our ship, right? Okay, so the theory. Let the attacker equal SK_sprite node. Image named attacker. Ooh. All right. There we go. Going to do the same thing here, right? Now, we probably don't want this to happen immediately at the beginning, but we'll do it for now to make sure that it's working. Oh, what did I do? I did not mean to do that. There we go. Oh, did I put shape? Okay, let's add. Okay, it's going to be very similar to the rocket in many respects. Let me think. What was the size? $40 by 58. Okay. Let's put an X of 0 and a Y of 0 to begin with, just so we can see it appearing on the screen. Okay, that should be all we need. Okay, here it is down here. We're not going to do any fancy math here for now. We're just going to put in some, give me some straight numbers. So for the Y, let's just start with, I think mine, is that the top? Did I get these numbers wrong? Okay, it's a bit big actually, so tweak these numbers quite a lot. I want it to be just off the screen. There you go. I think I can see like 1 pixel right there. So 1 would take it completely off the screen. All right, and we're gonna have these be random numbers later on. Now we do need it to move, of course, so the attacker dot run move position. Yeah, I gotta write the function for it. So move attacker position. Same thing again, we'll need a completion handler. It'll take, I haven't written a function yet, but it'll take that, which is going to be attacker, and that should be the same thing. Okay, so let's now write that function. It's going to be an SK node. I'm not going to return anything. I'm actually just going to take, well, actually it is going to return an action. Sorry, I'm going to take this one right here, copy it for now. But what we want it to do is go the other direction, right? So if I do minus 0.1, I think that's going to be right. See there, it's going to be very slow. Let's see. These are variables that are going to change, and you're going to want to change and move these up over time to make it harder, obviously. Okay. So when we add our attacker, at the end of it, we want self.attacker to remove from the parent, and then self.add the attacker again. So probably for now, it should start at the top in the middle, just off the screen, come down to the bottom of the screen, disappear, and just loop over. See what we get. All right, nothing there, is it? Let me change that back to 0.8. It may actually be going too fast. Yeah, okay. Now the problem is it's not getting all the way down to the bottom. Now why is that? So fix these one by one. So I'm gonna be right back here, folks. All right, back we are. Okay. Let's see. So we have got this problem. But the problem is everything is exactly right, except it's not going all the way down the screen. Got to figure out why. Yeah, so that's doing what it should. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna do a little bit of verbose debugging here. We're gonna print the attacker dot position dot y. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so how is it that it works down here just fine? You think it's on mute? Are you sure? Hey, Nicholas. Looks like it should be going out. Let me look here. Can you hear me now, Nicholas? Working now. Okay. Maybe I just wasn't saying anything. How weird is that? Gosh, I hope it hasn't been quiet for the last whatever amount of minutes. 40 minutes, I think. How you doing, Nicholas? You know, I wouldn't be surprised if everything's been a bit weird. I've had 2 kernel panics, as you saw me mention on Twitter, already today on this machine. I don't know how that's going. It's all a bit weird. All right, so we're only getting down. It's only coming down this far. But hey, Nicholas, look, we got the. You missed it, buddy. We've got the bullets now moving with the gun. All right, so I still don't understand why. This one here, it moves the rocket just fine. Move to Y. Because I bet if I do that, what? I'm curious. I wonder if there's some weird math going on here. How about this? Instead of setting it to, why didn't I set that to naught? So if I set it to the bottom of the screen, no. Seems a bit too much of a coincidence that it's doing it at the same time as the rocket hits the top of the screen, doesn't it? It's probably just a coincidence and me being paranoid, so let's see. Wonder if there's some magic game loop here I don't know about. Guess there could be, but I don't know. I feel like I made a lot of progress, but every time I make a bunch of progress, I hit the next thing. But then again, you know, that's what it's like when you're learning a new technology. It's like, oh, solved that. No, didn't solve that. I wonder, it'd be funny if this one had to be a sequence now that I've got rid of the other sequence, wouldn't it? Wonder what my other actions are. Move by. Try this one. So it's going to be a CG vector. So we'll say, let's guess. Time interval 0.5. And then we'll just comment that one out for now. I think I'm missing something on this actually. Yeah. I should have known that was going to happen. Okay, so let's do minus 0.1, and then we'll just leave that at 0 for now. Oh, yeah, see, I put it on the wrong one. Same thing. But that's not the problem. What in the world is going on? I figure there's got to be some kind of reset game loop, right? Let me take those off for a minute. Okay. Well, this would be weird. But I wonder what happens if I run it again. That just can't be the answer. That's too weird. I don't want it to run forever. This can't be right, but I guess I could probably do pox. If self-directed measure is less than 1, do it again. Nope. I think the problem is it's pre-calculating. Yes, sir, Nicholas. I told you I'd try and just get another one in this week, so I did. Because I thankfully solved my initial problem, figured that out, and I was like, okay, I just couldn't wait till the weekend. Well, let me backtrack. I thought I'd figured it out in theory, and I just proved that I did, and I didn't want to have to wait till the weekend to find out so that I can move on to the next thing. So I moved on to the next problem. But thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's nice to do one in the midweek. It gives you sort of something to do in the evening. You're like, oh, I got to make sure that I stay awake and do this. Hope you're having a good week, Nicholas, by the way. So I think this may be the wrong action, but I don't understand why it's the wrong action when it works beautifully right here. I'm looking for something really obvious that I've done wrong here, and I can't see it. Swift UI and Combine. Whoa, you're stepping out there this week. How's that going? How's Combine working out for you? Have you done any async await stuff in the new iOS 15 yet? How do you like Combine? Do you think it's working out good for you? Let's see what other options we've got available. Oh, wait. Just make sure I'm not totally crazy here. Okay, no, I want to make sure that wasn't the overall duration of the thing. It's a complex debugging network call only to find out we forgot the app security transport in the P list. Just iOS 14. Oh, don't you love that? When you're like, oh, wait. I had a situation once where I was doing some push notification stuff, and I was absolutely just flummoxed because maybe that's an English saying, flummoxed, confused. Um, I had everything right. I looked at my code. I was absolutely convinced it was right. And I just forgot to put the push notification certificate in the app. So I feel your pain when it's something silly like some kind of P list listing or something like that. You just want to slap yourself on the forehead and walk away at that point, right? And it's also like, how can I do this and not explain to someone that I was a little foolish? Because teammates are good at reminding you on these things, right? Hey, Cusplat, something like that. How you doing? And welcome, first time chat for the viewer. Thank you so much, appreciate it. Glad you're here. Feel free to ask questions. We are having some fun here with fixing one error after the other. I've got everything else working now except my little alien spacecraft, as you can see, only goes a fraction of the way down the screen. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. But I'm pretty impressed with SpriteKit. I'm determined not to give up, but I have a game that I wrote in Unity, and at some point I've got to work on that. And I don't know if I should work on that on this stream or if I should do it on my other one, which is, since this one is kind of compile Swift, right? I don't know. Maybe people wouldn't bother. Would you be bothered if I did some Unity on this, and we could do some C? We can C sharp and have a whole new experience of problems. Oh, I should show you. I have a special graphic here that I put in just for fun this week, so that when my code comes up and it doesn't work, I can just come up and say foul. So got that. However, I'm optimistic because I also do have a win. All right, so got those in there just for fun. Okay, I still don't understand why this works that way there, and yet down here it's fine. I don't know what, I must be doing something really silly. Because my code sure to me looks like it's the same twice here. Right, I got the first one here for the rocket, works fine. This one here doesn't work fine. And it's one of those, okay, there's got to be something like really weird that I'm doing here. I didn't ever see people coding with Swift for iOS, macOS. That's what made me click, but I would still watch the Unity stuff. Thank you. Well, good news is, so far I've only done Swift for Mac and iOS. And in fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, because my goal was, once I sort of got some of this stuff working, I need to go back now and start reworking some code on one of my Mac OS applications. Because it's funny, I see people doing iOS, but I don't really see people doing much Mac. So you're in luck. I got to do some more of that again soon. I did some with Swift UI on there as well, and I got it. Well, actually, what I've did is I've got an app that I wrote for myself with storyboards, and I want to convert it to a Swift UI. I want to make some other changes at the same time. So I've been working on that, and I need to go back to that. So when I get too frustrated with trying to figure these, it was one of those like, I should have some fun with SpriteKit. Seemed like a good idea at the time, right? But I do need to get back to my other apps as well. And I have been thinking about it, and I'm thinking we should have some fun with the watch app as well, right? Because got the new Series 7. I got to use it for something. Yeah, it's true. There is very few Mac OS streams, and I don't know why. Because, well, I mean, there's plenty of Mac apps out there. Maybe it's just all super secret and nobody wants to share. Whereas I'm the exact opposite. I'm going to share as much as I can to try and reduce the hassles for other people that I know I go through, when it's sometimes like this, where it's a silly thing, and you're like, you know what? If this helps one person, it was worth it, right? So don't worry, stick around. That's going to happen for sure. And who knows, if Nicholas badgers me hard enough and long enough, maybe I'll try and do 2 streams a week on a regular basis. I can actually say at that point I'd be doubling my stream. Yeah, watch apps for sure, right? I've never written a watch app. The only thing I did with a watch app one time was when the watch first came out, and I had the Series 1, and that was back when, it was kind of an extension of an app, an iOS app, and you did it that way, and it was all a bit weird. Never done any of that since then, and I just did that to see, like, oh look, I put something on my watch, right? But I'm thinking that I need to go back and do that because I got a couple of ideas I'd like to try out and some things. And I'm helping a friend out with some stuff, and there's a watch component there maybe. And I figured, well, that's a good excuse to learn it and play with it, right? Does the self-attacker move from parent, remove from parent need to be there? Interestingly, I actually thought this was the problem. What was supposed to happen, right? This was based on the rocket one. When the rocket gets to the top of the screen, I have it remove itself, right? But if I don't remove it, it didn't actually. I thought to myself, oh, that'll solve my problem, but it didn't. So, oh yeah, and in fact, I blew it up in a big way. What I should have done, get rid of all this. I should have done that one as well. There you go. Yeah, no, it doesn't. I don't know why. This just goes to there, and that's it. So by removing it and resetting its position is what gives it the loop, which is exactly what I want, assuming that it hasn't been shot, of course. When it gets down to the bottom here, I want it to disappear and come back up here. So it was the exact, my brain thought it was the exact reverse of the bullet, but not working that way. And I, as I said to you before, I'm totally new at SpriteKit, so I may be doing something. Somebody may be watching this and going, "Boy, this guy's a total idiot," because it's really stupid. Which it may be, but I don't know what it is. But I'm sure going to figure it out. Because, I mean, it's not that much code. This is the entire code for the application, except for a couple of little cleanup bits in here. So, bugs in here somewhere. And I established through some very manual debugging, it's got nothing to do with the direction of the movement either. It's like there's just an end. I don't know if it's an end of a cycle per frame, like it runs 60 frames, 60 frames per second, as you can see. I think it shows up in the corner. I'm not sure. Yeah, see, 60 frames per second. I wonder if I've been misleading myself all the time, and that's the loop. I guess I can test that, right? Because what I could do, I could make the rocket move incredibly slow. See if this will be interesting. If the rocket does the same thing, then I've totally misled myself all the way. Oh, look at that. So here we were. This is interesting. So here we were thinking the rocket was going off to the end of the screen and resetting its loop. That is not what's happening here, folks. It was just that we had exactly the right numbers to make it look like it was doing the right thing. Let's see, because Sprite says change the duration to 5 and see what happens in move position. Yeah, what actually happens is, I think you mean this one here. I tried this. It'll actually move quicker, but do the same thing, if that makes sense. Sorry, slower. So you'll see that, right? You can see the bullets. So I'm pointing at my screen like you can see me pointing at my screen. It's doing the same thing. It's only going that certain distance, right? Same as the bullet there, actually. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I have just noticed. Did I just conveniently put the same numbers? Is that it? Is that affecting the bullet as well? Is this actually... Okay, no. Okay, it's just an illusion. All right. So, there's some kind of frame, game loop going on in the background here that's causing this. This is actually just completely led me astray because it looked like it was leaving the screen, but it wasn't. Well, that's really interesting. Actually, that somehow, in some ways, I feel better about that because it makes more sense. Because at least I know that there's something universal going on, and it's not actually the code here. It's to do with maybe the speed of the whole game. Because I wonder, because Splat, maybe you were thinking what I was thinking, which is this is the duration. Keep doing this for this long. That's originally what I thought it was, and it's not. This essentially becomes the speed vector for the movement of something. So it's almost like, you know, and it's not even. Let's try this. I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna double that. Let's see if it goes double the distance. Oh, look at that. So it actually does. So something is definitely doing something for X amount of time and then resets the whole thing. Wonder what that thing is. I should probably Google it. I guess I could. I think what I need to do as well actually is I have a book somewhere on SpriteKit. I should look at that. I was, you know, I mean, it would be better if I had a system where I could say, hey, move from position A to position B, and it just did that over X amount of time, right? You know, until it got from A to B. That would actually be my preferred route because then you can generate patterns and everything else of movement and then just randomly pick one and so on. Let me see if I can find something here. SK Sprite, sorry, SpriteKit. I'm going to randomly Google SpriteKit game loop. It's funny that I'm seeing something that says, do yourself a favor, use SpriteKit. Cause yourself a headache. And change the move to Y position to the top bottom screen bound. That sounds like what move to does. Given valid Y position, how long the move should take. I was wondering that too, because I thought like, okay, so for example, let's do this. Let's take this out. Well, I know the bottom of the screen is going to be 0 because if I set, you can see here where I set the attacker to 0. So if I set Y to 0, that's actually going to be the bottom of the screen. Try that. Oh, look at you. Because Splat, you could be onto something here. I may have. This is what I thought it meant the first time round, and then I totally talked myself out of it. And maybe that's the problem, is I should have not talked myself out of it, because I think you're absolutely correct. So, move to that position over, say, 2 seconds, right? Okay. Now, using that logic, let's find the one for the rocket. I take that out. and put 1.2. That should take it off the top of the screen. That sounds like what moved you to... Yeah, no, I mean, that's how I think it read to me the first time. Okay, here we go. The Splat, you know, buddy, you should just be doing your own stream. If you're not, if you are, please tell us about it because I want to watch it because you totally nailed this. Okay. So the good thing is we can still use this as a speed adjustment over time. You buy a power up in the game and it makes it go quicker or something like that. All right, thank you. Well done, buddy. Well done. That's a total win there for you. Well done. And a total foul for me. Okay, good. That's that. Now, we actually want this to go a bit further. So, let me think. 0.3, I think, move. Make sure we can move the graphic off the bottom of the screen. Oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. 1.2, 1.3. That's what I meant. Yeah. No. Wait. 0 is the bottom. So 0.1. That doesn't seem right, does it? Something's still a bit wonky there with the math on this. Enemy move function should move to size of ship size. Then set enemy ship starting position to new position. The ship should let the enemy ship step towards the player. I'm a mobile typing his ass. Yeah. Gets us all, doesn't it? 30 seconds behind. Don't worry, so far my coding's about 30 seconds behind, so you're on par. And well done for getting that much typing correct on mobile. Better than I would do. All right, let's take a look at what you got here. Okay, enemy move function should move to the size of ship size. The scale is percent of screen space. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I was thinking in strictly X and Y and coordinates, but I guess that would make sense, right? Because you want to allow for the multiple screen sizes. All right, let's work through this. Enemy move function should move to this. Okay. Enemy move function. Well, the enemy is sorry, the ship is actually at 0. Let me make sure I got that right. Oh, wait. If that's the way the system works, then that would be double. Yeah. That would be 150%. And then I think I got this. because that's why anything less than a 1. Yeah, so if I did like a 0.9, wait, I think I've confused myself again. Hang on. It's going to be... Look at me randomly punching numbers in. I was thinking how to make the ship spawn closer to the player each time. Oh, I gotcha. Okay, I see what you get at. Yeah, no. Well, actually, interesting. Something like what you're suggesting, though, will come into play. Because, I was thinking, well, we're going to have patterns of ships. The idea here was originally thinking like the original Space Invaders, right? But instead of going across, they just come down, different positions, different speeds, and so on, right? Okay. So, I think what you're suggesting will come into play later on. Plus better graphics. And the good thing is, I think with the way all this works, our intersection should work nicely for removing and adding this, because I was using sequences in the previous stream. Nicholas will tell you it was doing what we wanted, but the stream would run and you can't do anything in the middle of it. It's going to complete the stream. This is a much better way of doing it. You don't think you need the negative. All right. Well, actually, you do, apparently. Even though this is 0 right here. So that would make that about 0.5. It doesn't look like it was what I would call a 0.3, but I think I am going to need the... Let me make sure I not screwed this up. Yeah, okay, the speed is an illusion because it's traveling the less distance. Okay. I think that does need to be there. I could be wrong. You might be right. I think the bottom for the enemy ship is reaching 0.3. Let's have a look. I'd go along with that. I think that's about right. So 0 though would put the top corner of the ship against the top corner of the player. Does that make sense? Yeah. Very quick, but you can just see it there. Okay. So we've got two choices. We can either go off the screen or leave it there. See, I'm thinking like if I'm over here, something like that, you could lose a point on your score when it gets to the ground zero, right? Any game dev. So I've never done any. The game dev I've done is Unity and Flash. That's the two technologies I've used for game dev. This is very different, just because I think the coordinate system is backwards compared to what I've used before. Okay, that's got those. Now the next flaw with the system that I've got here, you can only have one attacker right now, right? Because this right here. which would be pretty easy to overcome. Um, you could just generate a, either a random one each time. It doesn't have to be static up there. The only reason I've got it static up there was because I was just referencing it down here like I did on this. This, by the way, the sort of the approach that I'm taking here on a lot of this stuff and doing some of this, I'm sure some folks are looking at this and going, well, he's doing this backwards, is to iterate over time for other folks like myself who don't know anything about SpriteKit, so that, there's nothing worse than seeing fancy code that does exactly what you want, but you don't understand it, right? So when I'm doing some new technology, I like to be really verbose with it so that it sinks into my brain as I'm optimizing it and learning with it. Or set the enemy move to Y position, to the player Y position. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. But I think we'll leave that as it is there. What I can't decide now is whether the next thing to do is start to deal with, okay, did the missile hit the ship, and deal with that, or, well, actually, you know what? There's one real easy thing we can do here, right? Because, let me find it here. When I add the attacker, yeah, it always wants to be here, but I got to think. I can't remember the coordinate system for. Yeah, that might be too much. Randomly setting it, somewhere there. So okay, so 0.2 is probably going to kick it way off. Okay, so I could do. I want to generate a random. Don't do a random pointer type that provides uniformly distributed random generator. I don't. Do I want to do it that way? I don't know. Let me think about that for a second. I don't understand this coordinate system at all. I bet if I go searching, I can probably find some way that it maps it out, because, yeah, I don't either. I guess what I could do is also put a thing where when I click on the screen, it just tells me where that position, what the X and Y is, to figure that out. That would be another way to go, right? But what would be great is having like a grid overlay that would go on there, which I think it does. If you was to do something like the game scene, which I have not messed with yet, that does have, as you can see, this, right? There's where 0, 0 would be, and then minus 640. And so I know when you're doing it with this in the game scene, but I don't understand any of that yet. I wanted to start with code to get my head around that. I got no idea what's going on here. All right. Let's do a little bit of debugging here. I think. Let me just look something up. It makes sense to me. So I'm going to create a CG. No. Think CG point. Oops. So this is going to be a CG float. Random. Within the specified range. Okay, so minus 0.2. Yeah, I was wondering if it was float.random, but then I remembered this was a CG float, so CG float.random. And then I was thinking, you know, the in range, right? But I'm trying to remember how to specify the range. And that's what I was going to look up here. CG float.range. Good old Apple documentation. Random, yeah. Closed range, yeah. Oh, of course. Oh, Peter. Wow, it's been a while since I had to use a range. That's kind of embarrassing. I think I got something wrong there, though. Maybe I didn't. Perfect. Now, the interesting thing here is I definitely got to work on the tap screen movement of the player because you're never going to get to some of these positions in time. That is not going to happen. Oh, maybe that's what you... Yeah, you know what? In-app purchase. Okay, awesome. We're getting there. Cool. I am so glad that I did this midweek stream, and that you could both join us. Because Splat and Nicholas, thank you for joining. It's been really cool. It's been really helpful. Thank you. Okay. I mean, I could probably... Things will get really nutty in later levels. You could randomize the start position on the screen, Nicholas. Like you were saying, you could use some relativity to the player and things like that, right? This is cool. This is going in a whole area that I never thought to mess with. Okay, let's see what else. feel like I want to achieve one more thing in the stream today, and then maybe I'll do some Mac OS development at the weekend. Well, maybe, no promises. Maybe I'll do 2 streams at the weekend, one for Mac OS and one for some more work on this. We'll see. Depends how busy I am with other things. But I love, when you got that momentum going and you're remembering your code and you don't want to leave it too long because you'll forget why you wrote code to begin with, because obviously I've clearly got excellent documentation in this code, right? And I really don't think you want to stream of, let's write some documentation. God, that would be so boring. Imagine like, oh, exciting. I'm going to watch 2 hours of someone writing documentation. Not my thing. Okay. Just saying. All right. Well, maybe do I leave it there? I feel like if I left it here, I'd be leaving it on a win right now. I don't know. What's the time? Let's have a look. Where's my clock? It's 10 p.m. for me. Not too bad. Let's have another look here. What do we want to do next? I'm going to definitely have to deal with the collision thing here soon. And the scoring and all of that stuff, right? We're going to get into that because I've already got more working than I had anticipated having working at this stage. Because clearly I had no, there was no plan for this game. This was, let's have some fun with SpriteKit. And I thought this would just be the simplest thing I could think of to make a game for. All right. I don't know, man. I blow does doc streams. JBlue does doc streams. I don't know that one. I have to look that up. I feel like that would be just punishing people, right? I mean, we all know we should write documentation for our code, and when I'm doing this for the jobby job, yeah, I write proper documentation. But when I'm just messing around like this, not something that really comes to mind. But I'd like to look that up. That might be interesting. So I have to. Is JBlo, is that the username on Twitch? If I was to look it up. Oh, what's this? What's my phone telling me? Too many screens, that's the problem. Come on, there we go. All right, sorry. He's the creator of Java programming. I don't know that one. I'll have to look that up too. Okay. Well, in that case, I feel like if you create a programming language, you do have a responsibility to be good and promote documentation too, to be fair. Oh, excuse me. I would definitely look that one up. Thank you for that recommendation. All right, let's find SK node collision detection. No, I don't want to do it in Objective-C. In Swift, please. Okay, that didn't help me at all. Maybe I want to do this on a news stream where my brain is not so dead. All right, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the collision detection next, but I think I'll do that on the next time we work on this project, because I think I've got enough wins that I don't want to end on a non-win today. I don't want to end on a failure. I want to end on a total win, right? And it's a win because of the help from all of you. A huge shout out to Kasplat for helping me guess my way through this weird coordinate system. Totally freaky. All right. I definitely got a stream on for the weekend. I definitely got to do another compileswift.com podcast this week because I'm way behind on that because I have been busy with work. So if you want to go to compileswift.com, you can find that there. But I think we're going to leave this here for now. And then we will pick this up next time. Huge thank you to all of you in the chat room. And I'm going to go check out this Jai programming language. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'm going to check that out too as well and take a look. Always like to try new things. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you hanging out, spending some time in the chat. We will get together and do this again. Keep an eye on the schedule, twitch.tv/CompileSwift. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I'm going to be abandoning this code for now and then going back to some Objective-C of all things tomorrow for a different app for the jobby job. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Greatly appreciate you. Stay safe out there. Oh, thank you, Nicholas. I see you sneaking that in there at the end. Thank you. Appreciate it.